Hello there. Be in no doubt, the uni-party establishment is doing all it can to destroy Tommy Robinson. And if you disagree with Tommy Robinson, what he says, or you dislike him or anything else like that, surely you can see his treatment, or the treatment being meted out to him, is totally wrong. And after all those assurances we were told about, his team has been on Twitter telling us it's all okay, he's going to remain in Belmarsh, he's going to be safe in his own place just like he was before the last time he was in prison. But no, suddenly we found out last night that he's been moved forcibly from Belmarsh to Wood Hill. That's a move from Woolwich to Milton Keynes. And now, as I understand it, he's on the punishment block as a sort of a dangerous person or something, because he's with very dangerous people who are dangerous to him. It's disgusting, and no one will ever tell me this has not been a purposeful move to cause Tommy damage. The assurances by courts and prisons are not worth the paper they are written on. That's obvious to all by now. It doesn't matter what they say. We'll keep him safe in some place or other. No, they won't. And I expect there'll be another move as well. And they've let career criminals go just to house political prisoners like Tommy and others. And remember Peter Lynch. Always remember Peter Lynch. And it was a very quick move. He had a visitor last night or yesterday afternoon. The next thing, he's bundled into a truck and sent off. What risk assessments were made? And remember, Wood Hill was the place where he had his teeth knocked out. Do you remember that? When you look at him smile, you see the bright pearlies, don't you? And some people think that's a vanity thing. No, his teeth were knocked out, so he had to have them replaced. You'd think the establishment wants Tommy mentally and physically damaged, or worse, wouldn't you? And that's what I think. Now, if you want to help him, send an email to the governor of Wood Hill, Nicola Marfleet. I've left a link in the descriptions box below. Now, very important, be polite and firm. Do not use any, what I would say, threatening language or anything like that. It will only be used against you and will only land you in trouble and not help Tommy's case at all. You are concerned about his safety, and that's the way to approach it. Now, you can also email Tommy through a special delivery service, Emates. I've left a link in the descriptions box below. Now, be assured that this will cost you money. It's not like a free service, but it, as I understand it, it's part of the sort of the prison service, part of the setup, so that they can get looked over by the prison staff and then handed over to Tommy. And I've also given his prison number, A2084CG. That's Alpha 2084 Charlie Golf. I've left that in the descriptions box as well, because you have to send it to Stephen Yaxley-Lennon with that number to the correct prison, okay? Now, somehow, I've got the impression somehow that all the emails that have been delivered by this service have not actually been given to Tommy yet. That's the impression I get from his team on X. So why isn't he getting them? Is it taking that long to just read a few emails and get them to him? Or have they been inundated and swamped by so many emails of support, and they think that by moving prisons they can sort of delay it or try and convince him he's not being supported? Excuse me, I've got a bit of the lurgy. But keep sending emails if you can. Now, that system, also for 10 quid, you can buy a distinct telephone number which works on your phone like an app, so that if the inmate wants to contact you, if Tommy wants to actually phone you up, he can. And it'll cost him less to do it, because they still have to pay for outgoing calls, okay? So that inmate system looks pretty good. Now, all these moves of Tommy Robinson, trying to surprise him with this, that and the other, were they designed to elicit a sort of prescribed response from Tommy, or from us outside maybe? You know, the sort of response that might lead to him having more jail time, or us having jail time. I wouldn't put it past them to sort of factor that sort of thing in. So keep calm, but be persistent and passionate. But do not get unpleasant or violent. That's the worst thing you can do. So why is a civil prisoner who's not a security risk, except to the establishment, of course, in a sort of a higher security prison, on a punishment block of all places? I mean, this just beggars belief. Now, judges won't send criminal newcomers to unsafe countries, will they? Oh no. The entire human rights industry is engaged to ensure that no one ever leaves this country to an unsafe destination, ever. Or if there is the slightest 1%, 10th of a percent, 100th of a percent chance they might end up in an unsafe country, they don't get sent there, do they? But they seem quite happy to send Tommy to questionable parts of the detention system. The ECHR doesn't apply to everyone after all, does it? It's meant to apply to Tommy just as much as it applies to anyone else. And you can bet your bottom dollar that apart from a couple of outliers, the entire House of Commons and House of Lords will happily see Tommy terminated, don't you think? They'll be quietly drinking away and cheering themselves in the backroom bars of Parliament. And as an aside, what do you think will happen to the guy who threatened the life of Reform UK leader Nigel Farage? Deported? Or given a gaff and money? Will the ECHR apply to him? I would guess so, but not to Tommy. And we're not allowed to talk about that, are we? Now, there's an excellent message from Liam Tufts, who is one of Tommy's closest confidants, on X about Tommy's situation. I've left a link to it in the descriptions box below. Please do watch it. It tells the story from someone close in. Now, just before I let Richard loose on this, with his assessment of His Majesty's courts and His Majesty's prisons, I'll be talking about this gagging of Parliament thing, the sub judice thing. I have some interesting points on that. So, without further ado, I'll bring Richard in.
Hello
morning,
there.
Richard.
Good morning. Well, it's not a great morning with the news with what's happening with Tommy Robinson, to be honest with you. This is an act of provocation, I believe. Yes, we. Why else would they be moving him about like this? Why would they be quite clearly trying to place him in deliberate danger? That's what I want to know. This is quite a serious matter. It's obviously, I would say, to elicit a response from supporters. Because if something did happen to Tommy, I mean, a lot of people would be very angry. But I have to reiterate something. I think I've mentioned it before, that Richard Inman said, in that when Tommy was, when he had communication with Tommy, that's leading up to the march, the Unite the Kingdom march, Tommy said that if anybody kicks off and starts acting violent, it's like you stabbed me in the back. And I would say right now, if Tommy could say anything, he would be saying, keep calm, don't do anything, regardless of what happens. And that'll be very difficult for a lot of us because we're all very upset. We'd be very upset and angry. But we're not going to give in to Keir Starmer. If this is what he wants, he's not going to get it. Sorry, the people of Britain are not going to fall into his trap. We're not that stupid. We know what he wants us to do. He wants us all to kick off. And he might even try to get some bogus far-right people who will probably, in all actuality, be Antifa with masks on, to do some sort of argy-bargy should something happen. I mean, I hate talking like this about a hypothetical situation that hasn't happened, and I pray never will happen. I mean, going back to His Majesty's role, role in this, because, I mean, Tommy has effectively been placed into His Majesty's care. So, Your Majesty, are you looking after him? Are you? Or are you still on one of your whirlwind tours of the Commonwealth? And the same applies to the other political prisoners. Are you happy with their incarcerations and the death of Peter Lynch in a jail cell? He died, Your Majesty, because of a sequence of events that took place in your name. We don't need or want another martyr. Porthorpe made a very good point as well last night, which I have to say, when he said that if anything happened to Tommy, as in if he lost his life in prison, that would be the end of reform, because people would be saying, well, oh my goodness, where were you, Nigel Farage? Where were you, Richard Tice, other than throwing Tommy under the bus? That would be it. It may not be a fully correct assessment, but at the same time, it would be a very valid point that people would be raising. And this is what would happen. And I actually, honestly, I wonder, maybe that's what the uni-party are taking advantage of with Tommy's incarceration. And maybe this is in fact part of their plan, because this is one way they've seen how Reform have reacted. They think, right, we'll see Reform off. There's one way to do this. I don't know. This is awful situation. Yeah, I mean, after all, the left have seen the splits emerging over the Unite the Kingdom movement because of the way that Tice and, a few others in Reform have reacted. But, you can see for yourself, and I quote from The Guardian, splits in Reform UK as senior figures defend Tommy Robinson supporters. Howard Cox and Ben Habib take issue with chair saying party wants, Richard Tice effectively said the party wants nothing to do with Robinson and all that lot. That lot are you and I. And fair play to Ben Habib. Goodness me, I wish he was leader of Reform. I don't think we'd have any problems if Ben Habib was leader of Reform. We don't know what games Nigel and Richard Tice are playing, but as I said, if anything happens to Tommy, well, yeah, there we go. What do you reckon, Jeff?
No, you're absolutely right. This whole Tommy thing, whatever you think of him personally, this is not. This is the establishment is out of control. The establishment's out of control now. It's imprisoning people excessively, and I think it will continue to do so at every opportunity. This isn't the end of this by any means. Now, one question here: is there a crowdfunding that's not blocked for Tommy? I would say go to the Tommy Robinson. That's the at T Robinson New Era, and check out the latest Twitter feeds, because that will have the latest information about where you can donate. I've left a couple of links below in the descriptions box where you can support Tommy. Buy his book would be a good one, Manifesto. That's going like a storm, and a lot of good feedback on Amazon from it as well. So it's worth checking that out. So yes, and this thing about blocked funds, yes, that is an issue. So yeah. Why are they getting away with this? Because we voted them in and gave them so much power. And it's not just them. Parliaments over the years and decades have given so much power away to quangos and non-governmental organisations, to everybody, that there's hardly any accountability at a political level anymore, which is really, really dangerous, because a lot of people who get paid a lot of money have a lot of power, and we don't even know who they are. It's pathetic, really. What I want to do is touch on, as I said, this subjudice thing. You remember when the Southport murder happened and there was the riots afterwards? And what happened was that they went all out after the far right, the so-called far right, and the thugs and the rioters, as they called them. And they really, really did make a meal of it, didn't they? But all the other times they protect everybody else. And this was no more apparent than last Wednesday during PMQs, when Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons, gave that statement before PMQ started and basically said to the MPs sat there, to all of them, Prime Minister down, you must not talk about the Southport case or the alleged perpetrator, because there's a court case happening and you can't endanger that. And I thought, this is a bit blanket, isn't it? And he talked about the sub judice resolution that was passed. Actually, I checked it out. November 2001, 15th of November 2001. So I looked at this and I thought, I'll take a quick read. And I read through it, yes, and it all talks about when court cases are ongoing, you can't do this, you can't do that. Even in, when there's been a death, they have those inquiries. Those are covered by it as well. But here we go with the big but. But where a ministerial decision is in question, or in the opinion of the chair, which would be the Speaker in this case, a case concerns issues of national importance such as the economy, public order, or the essential services, reference to the issues or the case may be made in motions, debates, or questions. Now that comes after all the stuff you can't do, basically. So basically, if there is one of those circumstances, then MPs can start talking about it in Parliament. And I'll just break this down because there's two parts to it. The first part is this one. But where a ministerial decision is in question, reference to the issues or the case may be made in motions, debates, or questions. So if the Prime Minister, the Justice Minister, or the Home Secretary makes a decision which comes into question, reference to the issues or the case may be made in motions, debates, or questions. So that leads me to think that if Yvette Cooper decided to put out stuff on Twitter maybe that calls a load of people yet to go to trial as criminals, yes, then they've made that decision based on the case, on the Southport case, because it all flowed from that. So people should be able to talk about it, shouldn't they? And the reason for that is that sub judice rule is not there to stifle MPs from holding ministers to account. And that's the important bit. The process of Parliament of holding ministers to account still continues and must continue. So that sub judice rule is not blanket by any means. Now I'll come to the next bit. So if in the opinion of the chair, a case concerns issues of national importance, such as the economy, public order, or the essential services, reference to the issues or the case may be made in motions, debates, or questions. So, is the Speaker saying that if there was widespread unrest, like they claim there was, massive riots, they said, that is a public order issue? So surely the chair should allow anything that flows from that case that goes to public order should be debated in the House. Yes? I mean, none of that, none of questioning Yvette Cooper's decisions or the Prime Minister's decisions or questioning stuff that flowed out like that will have, it won't prejudice the case. It will prejudice the government, though. And that's the point. Parliamentary scrutiny. And the chair, as far as I could see, the Lindsay Hoyle, as the chairman, as the Speaker of the House of Commons, didn't point that out. He just made a blanket statement. Was that misleading? Was that misleading us? Did it mislead some MPs into not asking questions? That's a question in itself, isn't it? So I have to say that I'm not too impressed with what's going on there. Now, I hope that there is one of the big legal eagles out there on YouTube who will have a look at that. I may be completely wrong, but my reading of the English tells me that there's an attempt here to stifle ministerial scrutiny by MPs in Parliament and wider by us. Okay? So that's my thoughts on that. Any thoughts on that, Richard?
I mean, could this be a deliberate act to mislead Parliament? That's effectively what we're saying.
Well, I'm asking the question. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we are entitled to ask these things. It depends if your assessment is correct on that and your interpretation.
That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
Correct.
Be good if someone like a black belt barrister could have a look at it.
Yes, so, absolutely. We need somebody to look into this because otherwise, oh my goodness, there's a lot of legal activity potentially taking place within Parliament otherwise. And yeah, I mean, it's not like Parliament ever lied to us, like, say, go to Iraq or anything like that.
I just find
trust these people. We should always trust them. Yes.
Yeah, always trust our parliamentarians. We voted them in, didn't we? Yeah. But,
I mean, I find it incredulous, that. For instance, we all know what happened with the Iraq War when we were lied to. We know what happened, and yet, for some reason, how Tony Blair still made it to having Her Majesty chose specifically herself, our late Majesty the Queen, chose to make Tony Blair a Knight of the Garter.
Yeah,
and that's the one award, as you know, Jeff, that. Where Her Majesty herself, I believe, am I incorrect in this assessment? Where she actually chooses the individual?
I think it is the monarch themselves that chooses that particular honour. Yeah.
Yes. So very odd how these people seem to just float to the top. Funny, I know a few things that can float as well.
Yeah, yes, we know. Oh. Now, listening to an old lag, says Mickey, he was saying bombarding a prison with thousands of emails makes matters worse. Maybe send to someone like Richard Inman to represent everyone so that the prison can deal with it. That's a good point. I mean, maybe having so many emails coming in, because I'm assuming they do have to check them. I'm assuming that, because otherwise you could send all sorts of things. But the thing about the e-mate system is it does allow you to actually add photos. So I did send an email to Tommy with a photo of the march, one of these long, high up shots of the march that I managed to get during the Saturday march and the rally. Oh, this lurgy, I've got to get rid of it. So, I did send him a picture. So it does allow you to do things like that. But but you don't need to flood him with thousands of emails. You just need to send one, I suppose, and just say, we're here. But it does put a message across to the establishment, doesn't it? Yeah, and I'm just seen, quickly put this one up, just like they did overnight with the supposed rioters, two-tiered. Yes, they do exactly the same thing with those. Now, the big question I've got here is this just normal prison activity? Is this what they do to everybody? Try to break them up, psychologically and possibly physically? I don't know.
I don't think they've got the funds and resources to be moving people about left, right, and chances.
Well, that's very true.
I mean, this is quite specific. They are deliberate. There is a complete abandonment of the duty of care towards Tom and Robinson right now. And we need to be very, very aware of that, because you can't, if anything terrible, God forbid, should happen, it won't be down to some sort of prison procedure, some sort of normal set of sequence of events. No. This would be almost certainly a deliberate act, in my opinion. Yeah. This is my opinion. But I mean, how can you read it any other way? How can you?
No, I suppose so. The one thing they need to do, I wonder if they did a ecological study of every move they make of him, all the carbon expenditure. That'll put the muckers on it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Where's the MPs talking about Tommy's rights? Yes, absolutely right. I think you'll find on Monday that Reform UK MPs might bring this up, not because they support Tommy, because I don't think they do, as we've discussed before, but on the human rights angle, on the safety angle, and prisoners' safety, that sort of thing. So they might bring it up, but no one else will. No one else wants to talk about it. Well, and as Rosemary says, very dark times. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Reform have to say something on because I tell you what, if they don't start speaking out, they're gonna be able to read the room here now. They've got to be able to. They're going to see, oh my goodness, if something does happen to Tommy, we're finished. Tice and Farage, I'm talking about specifically. And then maybe you could see Ben Habib take over. I don't really think for Ben Habib to pull the party together, a man has to die. No. I think that's the last thing any of us want.
Exactly.
It's just a horrific situation. Horrific. Yeah. But that's the problem. These people will make political capital out of it. That's what the left, the uni-party, I should say, the Tories and the uni-party. I mean, I don't hear, we don't know at this moment in time who the next Tory leader is, but I mean, I don't hear any support particularly coming from them out on this matter. Has Jenrick spoken out in support of Tommy at all? I haven't heard anything. Maybe he has. I have no idea, but I doubt it. And I think it'll remain that way because this will also play into his hands very conveniently as well.
Here's one from Stella. MPs are elected by us and should be free to ask questions. They are generally free to ask questions and say anything they like. They're even exempt within Parliament, within the House of Commons, from any defamatory comments they make. So they can make a charge against someone. They can't be held accountable in the civil courts like you and I could. But this sub judice resolution was passed. It was started in 1965, I think it was, and it was sort of morphed into this resolution so that MPs should be aware that when there's a court case going on, they shouldn't mention it if it could possibly jeopardise the case. But it's now being used as a weapon against debate in the House of Commons. So I think that's wrong. I think it's being misused. That's my opinion. I'd love a legal eagle to go over that and explain it in more detail.
Yeah, and
from Narky, of course they've misled Parliament. Well, that's the sort of view I take. I think that it really is anti-democratic. Personally, the way that was handled should have made quite clear what that resolution said, not just a blanket statement.
Very odd, very, very strange turn of events. Sorry, we have a super chat here from Chopper. Thank you very much, Chopper.
Thank you, Chopper.
Chopper has said, have emailed Woodhill from Australia just to let them know the world is watching. Tommy must be protected. God bless him. Absolutely, Chopper. Well said. I mean, he does need to be very much protected. And we've all got to pray for Tommy. We really do. We have to get on our hands and knees as a country and pray for him and pray for all our political prisoners that they may be released, because this is not a game. These are people's lives. Here we are speculating on this, that, and the other, but these are actually people's lives. We should never lose sight of that, ever. And, Mr. Paul Thorpe, thank you very much indeed for your super chat.
Oh, is that Paul Thorpe? Hello, Mr. Paul Thorpe. Welcome.
Oh, my glasses. Those who stay quiet now will not be forgotten or forgiven. A man's life is at stake.
Yep.
Get well soon, Jeff. There you go.
Thanks very much. God, I haven't done a video for a couple of days because I've been really under the weather, and it hit me like a train on, was it Thursday night? So I'm sort of, well, Wednesday night even, I can't remember now, but I'm getting better, but the nose is still blocked. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Come on, man flu.
Yeah. Man flu, yeah. It's Jeff flu. It's even worse.
Oh, yes, I can tell. I've worked with Jeff for a long time.
There's the thing from Chopper. Super chat from Chopper. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, dear. What any other...
Yeah, there's a comment here from Amazing Grace.
Yes, thanks. Those who stay quiet now will not be forgotten or forgiven. You're absolutely right there, Paul. Well done.
Yeah. Amazing Grace, pray for the political prisoners. Now, I do that. I'm not doing a plug here. Over on my own channel on Missed the News. I try to do it every evening at 7 o'clock. We come together on Missed the News, and we have a pray for our political prisoners. And so we are a Christian country. That's what we do. You know, we're not messing around with Christians. Let's try and be real Christians. You know. So we've got to pray for them.
Yeah, trouble is I might not be going to church myself tomorrow if I feel this rough. I don't want to pass it
Yeah.
around the entire congregation.
No, good point, actually. Well done, Jeff. Selfless
Yeah,
act there.
watching.
Good enough.
Yeah, now Hayley Hamilton is watching this loudly on a bench in the town I live in. Wonder if I'll get any passing comments. You might do. Your police might move you on. But if you were doing it silently, you'd get arrested, wouldn't you, if you're in certain places, just by sitting silently or standing silently, whatever you're thinking in your head.
And thank you as well. That's a very good point, by the way, Jeff, there. Yes, praying these days in the wrong place at the wrong time is now an illegal act.
Yes.
In your head, praying in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you to Mark Harley for your super chat. And soldier through, Jeff, it says.
Yeah,
So
I will. Thanks. Now, Ollie, is that olive oil? Olive oil, of course. Yes, it had to be olive oil, didn't it? You should also make it clear that Tommy has never been and is not suicidal. Yes, I've met him, and he's nowhere near that. And it would take an immense movement of heaven and earth to get him there. He's not. He's as energetic. He's full of it. He's full of life. So yeah.
Yeah, we need to keep that in mind. These are horrible, horrible. Can you believe we're holding this conversation, Jeff?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. We've got Parliament being gagged. The people are being gagged. We've got to be very careful what we say.
Yeah.
It's just
it's obscene. It's obscene. Yeah.
It is
Thanks,
obscene.
Mark.
But this is standing on the precipice of a complete totalitarianism if we're not careful.
Yes.
And the only way that we can get out of this, and I have to say, I mean, the pledge is something very important you all have to sign. Go to is it the pledge.org.uk, is it?
Yes.
Have I got Okay, the pledge.org.uk. Sign up to that. It's the only way I can describe it to you is like a modern day chivalric code under which one lives their life, or organizations and groups of people can live their life. It is a very good idea. I suggest you go there and sign up. Now, that's the first point. The other thing is to unite the kingdom. Now, we've got a lot of talk. I mean, I make no bones about it. I'm very angry at Reform, very angry at Richard Tice and at Nigel Farage. But thank God for Ben Habib and his comments. He is keeping that ship afloat right now, as far as I'm concerned. But right now, we also have UKIP, who I've got a lot of sympathy for as well. There's a lot of they're saying all the right things, to be honest with you. And sounds great, but there is this thing about splitting the right. Yeah, and we have to be. It's so difficult to do. Do you vote with your heart or with your head? Do you vote for some people for a party that said we don't want anything to do with that lot, or do you say, look, have you just spoken out of turn badly? We need a big apology there. Thank you very much to Mr. Tice. But splitting the right is not a great idea. There needs to be a uniting of the kingdom. This cultural movement is more important right now than actually siding on which political party you're going to support. This is the most important thing. Come together. Keep coming together as a nation. Britain coming together. Unite the kingdom indeed.
Yes. No, we've got to unite the kingdom and then get back to sensible policies and sensible politics that does unite the kingdom and looks after the people that live here, not everyone around the world. That's too expensive, as we're finding out right now. Now, here's a good one from Daniel Tang1. Take some vitamin D supplement, Jeff. Helps your immune system. Well, I do. But do you remember during a certain phase, a recent phase, where vitamin D was actually derided by the government? Don't take it. You've got to have the arm intervention instead. So, but I take vitamin D. That's just me.
Here's a good one for you, Jeff.
What
Jeff,
is it?
Snort vinegar. It won't help, but it's fun to watch.
Oh, dear. God, it's a good job I don't just leap into things, isn't it? Otherwise, I'd have had the bottle up my nose straight away, wouldn't I?
Yeah, it's a good job you're not too impressionable.
Well done. Who was that? Who said that?
I've lost it now.
Oh, you lost it, right? Okay.
God,
yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, good people do nothing, too busy to defend those who stand up for them. Yeah. That all you need to do is go and watch that Liam Tufts video. on Twitter. As I said, I've left the link, and he just lays it on the line. It's only 2 minutes long. Won't take your entire life to watch it. I think it's 2 minutes, and it's comes straight from the heart. It's really good stuff. So please go and watch that little video. I would have included it in here, but I thought, no, I want to send you to the source. Okay, so yeah. Should we send tins of tuna? That's one of the things we've got to be finding out. And thanks for the
I don't know. I don't know
well.
that one. That's a good point. But I mean, I think right now, if things have to be taken or to Tommy, it should be through trusted people, through friends of his. That's the way to.
The problem is, as I understand it, that he can get tins of tuna inside the prison, but they can't let metallic stuff through to him from the outside without it being checked somehow. So chocolate seems to be okay and stuff like that. I don't know. It's something that the people who run his channel now, the team, will know all about.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure they're working on something. I'm sure they're working on something, hopefully, because this is a horrific situation. I believe last time, because of the way that food is prepared, possibly by other inmates, that he was too frightened to eat it, because it was a lot of that food was prepared, let's just say, by a certain demographic. And a thank you to Nick Shoei for your super chat. Support farmers in November before the Black Rock Farms. Yes, absolutely. It's no coincidence that Bill Gates has recently, I believe, had a little chat with, or in the past few months, little chat with Keir Starmer. This is the man who buys up farmland, and we mustn't forget our farmers. This is something big that's going to be coming. I believe there's some big protests hopefully planned. It'd be great if we could have these farmers' protests somehow. I don't know if this would work with the Unite the Kingdom. We need to have we all at least supported by the Unite the Kingdom movement. I mean, we have a country with a big problem at the moment, a very big problem, and it's affecting everyone in every sector of society. But the farms are our food. They want us eating this fake meat. I bought into that rubbish for a while. I did, going vegan, and it made me bloody ill. And thank goodness for the carnivore diet, which is now healing me. I feel like a different person all of a sudden. So sorry, rabbiting on.
Anyway, it's quite interesting that no one's sort of joined a couple of dots up here about this farmers' protest thing. Now, the whole thing is that what they've done is imposed rules on inheritance tax for farmers that removes their what's the word? They never had to pay inheritance tax, so they could pass the whole farm on to their children to operate the farm. So they're brought up as farmers, they operate a farm, they help their parents, whatever it is, then they inherit the farm and continue to produce food for the nation. And that's how that works. So the farms are sort of a set piece. It's economic. It's the right size. It produces the right stuff. And there's all of these farms out and about everywhere. But what the Labour Party sees is a lot of rich landowners with lots and lots of land that they pass on tax-free to their offspring. That's what they see. They don't look at the agricultural side. That's all they see. But they also need land to build 5 million houses on in the next, is it 5 million in the next few years? However number it is. They want to build loads of houses. They need land, don't they? Now, what better way over the next few years as farmers, because the farmers are generally old. They're old. The average age of a farmer is 60-something. They're going to be dying off.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to be dying off. So what's going to happen then? They're going to have to pass their farms on. But if they have to pay a huge inheritance tax bill, they'll have to sell some of that farmland. That farmland will now be bought up by property developers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous.
And then, and it gets worse, and then I reckon the government will be renting them. And you know why, don't you? You know exactly why they'll be renting them, to hand them out. And you know who they'll be handing them out to. This is a government land grab to benefit not us, not our food security, but to help everyone else. That's how I join those dots up. It's not just pure greed. It has several angles to it. What do you reckon, Richard?
Yeah, it's killing two birds with one stone, effectively. I mean, it's sort of buying into, so your Bill Gates of the world can come in and buy up as much of land as possible and use it for nefarious reasons. But here's the thing that's not been discussed about the farmers as well. What you're talking about here are farms that have been handed down through generations. They're going to know that land, how to farm it, the seasonality of it, things that you and I or anybody else, somebody who's been in farming for a long time, they're not going to know that specific farmland, how it all works, how it interconnects. I'll give you an example. One of the butchers I use when I'm back in Brecon, it's a family intergenerational butcher shop, and they know which. They don't go to the market. They know which farmer to approach at what time of year, okay, to get the stock, because they slaughter the animals themselves in the back of their shop, and not in the back of the shop. They're an abattoir effectively. So, but they know exactly where to go, what time of year, which farm, what they know how to get the best of the best of the best. This is what happens with intergenerational knowledge. It's handed down, and it's a very important thing. And by the way, big thank you as well to, I haven't got my glasses on with me, Yardy. Yardy, for your super thanks. Jeff, take some mullen tea. It's a fantastic cure. Get well soon and keep exposing them. We need you and many 100%. There we go. Thank you very much, Yardy. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, much appreciated. Yes, and one of the earlier comments was about bugs, eating bugs. And I honestly think this is where they want to drive us at the end of the day. And the fact is, we're going too slowly for them. So if they can knock out a load of farms at the same time and put solar panels and wind farms on them, and then build loads and loads and loads of houses, it will help. But did you also know, here's a bit that you might not know, the Transport for London under Sadiq Khan has got this cunning plan. What they're going to do is take control of land at various parts of the terminus of the underground and build loads and loads of solar panel farms to feed electricity to make the tube work. Yep, that's the plan. I read about it yesterday and I thought, well, that's going to work at night, isn't it? Great stuff. You still have to have a gas-powered generator piling energy in, because there aren't batteries big enough and strong enough to keep that going overnight. That's for sure. Dear.
Yes. Thank you to Olive Oil. Sorry, guys, but the B word do want Tommy dead, as they want us to riot. That's absolutely correct. That is. We must remain calm and prosecute those responsible for this mess. Totally. Absolutely. There are people who should be in jail right now who think that they are immune to the law, we'll say, and the mechanisms thereof. Yeah, we very, very, very dark times we're living in. But thank you for that, Ollie. And we have another one from Canon Lenses and Cameras. My old video has aged very well when Nigel S slagged off Tommy off on LBC when he was arrested last time. So I can't read my glasses. Just read all comments. Technology Advisor YouTube channel. Okay, well, maybe some people need to have a look at that.
Yeah, sorry. We use Black Magic, but there you go.
Cameras, that is. Cameras,
yes,
Black Magic
cameras.
You don't use Black Magic on this channel, Jeff.
Now, Matt W. makes a point here. There are 700,000 empty homes in England. Yeah, I looked into this a while ago, and it's quite amazing that a lot of those houses are absolutely unlivable in. They're in the wrong places. So there's no work there. There's no reason for people to live there. So there's no point. But also there is a huge number of properties that are constantly being churned through the, when people die, and they're just empty while they go through probate. So the probate system holds up. I mean, I had a relative who died. The house was in probate for 4, 5, 6 months. And it just stayed there. we couldn't do anything with it until it had been properly gone through. Then we sold it. But you get the idea. It's not as simple as just saying there are 700,000 houses. They've got to be in the right place, and they've got to be able to be used. And I think that's possibly an issue. There were moves, and governments were saying they were going to take over all these old houses if no one did anything with them. But I don't know how far that got.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, housing crisis. Well, if we have got a housing crisis, we know why. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that one out. Thank you to S for your super chat. I'm afraid I cannot read it out, but thank you.
I won't put it up there.
No.
Don't worry. Bill Gates has sorted for us nice bug burgers. Mealy bugs and all the rest of it.
Getting back to the main topic here, really, which is Tommy. I mean, I have not met Tommy. You have, Jeff, and the other people watching this who are friends of Tommy, and that's the thing. See, because it's like we're speculating about somebody, as I tried to say earlier, speculating about somebody who's just like this etheric Tommy Robinson person. This is a character. He's a person. He's a person. He must be terrified right now. His psychological state. How do you do this to a man? Now, the thing is here, I want to get this across because time's moving on, Jeff, and I think we've got to go soon.
Okay, yeah.
We really do have to get this across now, okay? All of us are angry. Many of us right now would like to act on that anger in a negative way, but that's exactly what they want you to do. And where would it get us? We're meant to be better than them. Let us be a peaceful nation. We can win by peace and love. Love does conquer all, I can tell you now. It might not seem like it at the time when you're going through a very dark place. We've all been through dark places in life, and I mean dark, hideous times in our life. But love does win through, always, and we should always remember that. Keep together as a kingdom. Remain united and be on our knees before Almighty God and before Christ we need to be. Because if we're not, we're handing it over to secularism. Secularism has allowed this to happen. This is what happens with a secularist society. It has no moral foundation. It's an anything goes type thing. Oh, well, it's all down to science. Science does not provide morality. And no, evolution is not the basis of our morality. Too long a conversation, that one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that tonight. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and thank you, S. I can't put that one up. Might upset a couple of people, but but thank you very much anyway. Anyway, I'm feeling very rough at the moment, so I'm doing the best I can, and Richard is feeling a bit under the weather as well. So we've put as much as we can into this, and all I can say is stay strong, keep checking up on the Tommy Robinson Twitter feed, keep up to date what's going on, and if he moves again, you'll know straight away because the team will get told. Okay, so that's really important. And all I can say is thank you so much for engaging with us this morning on this Saturday morning. And I hope you have a great fireworks night tonight if you're going to a Saturday do tonight. And so it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.